There is a big difference between inspiration and comparison fatigue. Why can't I show up the way that she does? Stop consuming so I could think for myself. Sunken growth state. You have purpose, sis. The likelihood of you being successful without preparing. Sabotage my success every single day by trying to do everything perfect. I was juicing. I was taking my vitamins. I was dieting. I was watching my caloric intake. You are not alone. Hello, Ambition Babes. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion, also known as the Face of Ambition, across all social media platforms, as well as wherever you stream your podcast. And today I felt like we were well overdue for a little sister girl chit chat. If you've ever felt like you're doing absolutely everything right, but you still feel stuck, I'm about to break down my exact method on how I got unstuck when my glow up felt delayed. Because let me tell you something, nothing feels worse than feeling like you're journaling, you're praying, you're drinking your water, you're going on the walks, you're getting in your 10,000 steps, you're going to therapy, you felt like you were communicating better, you're decluttering your space, but yet you still feel stuck, unfulfilled, like something just isn't right. I have been in that space so many times and it is so discouraging. You feel like there has got to be something wrong with you. Like, you know, you have all the resources in order to glow up, to be able to achieve all of your ambitious goals, but yet something's just not clicking. If you have ever felt like that, sis, I've got some good news for you. You are not alone. There are so many times in my life where I felt like I was doing all the things right, especially whenever it came to my weight loss journey. I was juicing, I was taking my vitamins, I was dieting, I was watching my caloric intake, I was weighing my food. And when I would step on that scale, to see it say the same thing that it said yesterday, or that I had gained weight, would just deflate me, and I would find myself in a line at Chipotle. I would definitely skip the gym the next day and sometimes for the full week. And I don't know about you, but I've had my healthy meals actually go bad in the refrigerator because I refuse to eat them. Feeling stuck does not mean that you're not growing. Growth doesn't always look the way that we want it to. And what I have found is that every time I was in what I called a sunken growth state, that season was perfecting me and preparing me for the next phase in my journey. On paper, I was showing up the exact way I was supposed to, but I still was not seeing the results that I felt were warranted of the work I was putting in. I'm grunting, I'm sweating, I'm doing the extra reps. But for me, I became so dependent on the scale to tell me how good I did. The scale was the only thing that measured my success. It wasn't that I stuck to it. It wasn't that I persevered. It wasn't that I ate all of my quinoa. It literally all came down to the number. If I didn't see the number that I wanted to see, my whole week, my day, and everything that I had put into it was for absolutely nothing. The emotional toll that I experienced is what caused my weight loss journey to take decades to achieve. Am I saying that my body is perfect? Absolutely not. Am I saying that I've lost over 90 pounds? Yes. Am I personally proud of the fact that it has taken me multiple decades to achieve this goal? Not really. But what I have done is written out the 5 steps that have helped me get unstuck mentally, physically, and emotionally. You know how whenever you are working out and you hit a plateau? That is exactly what this video is about today. You feel like you've hit a plateau in life. Like, there's so many things that you know that you've accomplished in life, but you just can't get to the next step. Perhaps you're doing exceptionally well at work right now, but no one is looking at you for the salary increase or the new position that just became available. You know that you're practicing more patience with your children and even your spouse, but absolutely no one is acknowledging all of the effort that you're putting in. And oftentimes when we're in this stuck space, it just takes a few things to level us up. That is why step number 1 is that I had to stop chasing perfection and start tracking my proof. Last week, I mentioned my proof wall, and a proof wall is a sacred space in my home where I write out the proof that I'm actually becoming the woman of my dreams. What I have found is that if you do not track it, it's not your reality. Your mind holds on to data. It remembers the things that it has seen before. Therefore, whenever you get up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym whenever your alarm goes off, and you come home and write on that Post-it that you did it today, placing it as proof that you showed up for yourself is a visual reminder that you can do the hard things, that you tell yourself the truth, that despite of the way that you feel, you show up for yourself. I used to think that being a perfectionist was a good thing. Like, I know that it holds you back in some areas of life, especially whenever it's time to turn in something and there's a deadline and you need to go ahead and submit it, but you're trying to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. But my therapist recently gave me a saboteur test. And baby, when I tell you I learned more about my perfectionism from answering a few questions on a questionnaire, it explained how I sabotage my success every single day by trying to do everything perfect. Because honestly, if I knew that I couldn't do it perfectly, I'd rather not do it at all. But you don't know if you can do something perfectly unless you've done it before. So that meant that I wasn't taking the risk that I needed to take in order to prove to myself that I could do it. Honey, this quiz is absolutely amazing. I'm going to make sure and link it in the description below. But the very first step that I have taken in order to stop chasing perfection is to start tracking my success. I use a habit tracker every single day in order to log the habits that I know I need to make or break in order to increase my chances of being successful. Because let me explain it to you. You can set goals all you want, but if you do not have a system to support those goals, you are never going to achieve them. And one of the systems that I have implemented is using a habit tracker. This, again, is visual proof that you are one step closer to becoming whatever you desire to be. If you desire to practice gratitude every day, drink more water, work out, eat healthy, be in bed by a certain time, your habit tracker holds you accountable to do the things that you said you wanted to do. If you need a habit tracker, please make sure you visit the description below and download my absolutely free habit tracker so that you can start proving to yourself that you are becoming the woman of your dreams. Step number 2 is that I stopped trying to manifest and I started trusting in God's divine timing. Timing is absolutely everything. And when you get something out of order, it can either make or break your success. That is why the formula to success is opportunity plus preparation equals success. You have got to be prepared for the opportunity in order to be successful. But if you have not done the work on the front end and the opportunity comes your way, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to be prepared for that season in your life. You're not going to have studied. You're not going to have learned. You're not going to have what it takes in order to be successful. It's like someone calling you today and telling you that there's a triathlon in your city. And you've been saying for years that you want to participate in a triathlon. But the triathlon in your city is tomorrow. And you get out there and you try to swim, bike, and run all those miles in order to complete the challenge. And I'm not going to say you're not going to be successful, but the likelihood of you being successful without preparing is very slim. And even if you do cross the finish line, you could have crossed it faster and with a better time if you had simply prepared. That is why I have been so intentional about trusting God's timing. Giving myself an opportunity to meditate so that I can listen to exactly what God's plan is has been imperative to my success. I'm not trying to go out here and create my own success on good vibes. I'm not trying to eat somebody else's birthday cake, baby. I want my own. But it only happens when God is ready. That is why we have to do what it takes to be prepared. That comes from praying, meditating, and taking action. When you know that you have purpose, when you know that you're supposed to start that side hustle, that business, when you know that you're supposed to be a singer, a writer, an author, a content creator, but you allow things like lighting and a good camera to hold you back, you're not surrendering to God's time. Everybody doesn't share the same gifts and talents that you do. You have been divinely created and appointed. You have purposes. And one of the ways that you can stop feeling stuck today is to be obedient. The third step that I had to take in order to become unstuck was that I had to stop consuming so I could think for myself. As a content creator, it is so easy to get consumed with what everyone else is doing. What are the girlies talking about? What do they want to hear? What should I be creating? How should I be doing it? How is she doing it? Why can't I show up the way that she does? I don't want her to think I copied off of her, even though I did it weeks in advance. Why can she lose all the weight? Why does she have the perfect life? Why are her kids so well behaved? Why does it seem like her career took off faster than mine? Most of these thoughts come from the overconsumption of content. I'm not going to sit here and bash the internet and tell you not to scroll on TikTok or Instagram, but I am going to suggest that you take a break from consuming so that you can hear your own thoughts, that you can tap into your own creativity, so that you can remember the baddie that you are and not try to emulate the baddie that someone else is. Everyone has the person that they look up to, the person that they emulate, the person that seems so successful and so happy and all the things seem to just work out for them. And I completely get it. I want my life to be like theirs too. But I found that the noise was causing me to fall behind. I was so concerned about everybody else and what everybody else was doing. I wasn't creating or producing my own content. Therefore, I was falling out of line with what God told me to do. I was so worried about likes and shares and numbers that it stopped being about this connection. It was literally holding me back from having these one-on-one conversations with you. I simply lost focus. I got unaligned. And that caused me to feel more stuck than I've ever felt in my whole professional career. I used to pride myself on not caring about what other people were doing, but somehow I lost my way, sis. There is a big difference between inspiration and comparison fatigue. And I was finding myself so tired and trying to figure out what everybody else was doing and what was trending. I couldn't hear my own voice. I didn't have time to pray and meditate and ask God what I should do next because I was so worried that I would miss the next trend. I wasn't getting the same amount of brand deals and opportunities as everyone else, that my numbers weren't as big as other people. And when I took a break from consuming everything changed for me. I posted a video on YouTube in late March of last year. This was after I took my break from consuming and I actually stood in my own truth and actually created content that meant something to me. I posted the video and walked away. I came back just days later to find out that I had over 10,000 subscribers and my channel had been monetized. And yes, this all happened within days over an Easter weekend. This is what can happen when you turn off the noise and you do what God tells you to do. You drive in your own lane. You don't need 10,000 followers in order to be successful. I could have gone from 1 follower to 10 followers and felt absolutely amazing about myself because for once I was living in my purpose. I was doing what I was supposed to do. I knew this was the space that God was leading me to operate in. And when I finally yielded to my own understanding, He blew up my spot. And I am so grateful. And I want to encourage you, if you feel stuck, you have got to stop comparing yourself to others. Put the blinders on, sis. Look straight ahead. You know what you're supposed to do. You know that you're called for more. It's time for you to do it. Tip number 4 is I gave myself permission to pivot. So I just told you all about my YouTube journey, but what I didn't tell you is how I got here. So before COVID, I owned an international marketing company for decades. In 2019, going into 2020 was one of our most profitable years. But sis, when I tell you I was going through the motions, I was behind. I was so tired. I was not attentive to my body, my husband, my house, my friends, nor my family. I was chasing a number and I was so close to being able to achieve it, I could taste it. So one day in 2019, I missed a flight to go and visit one of our long-term clients. It wasn't because there was traffic. It wasn't because I overslept. It was because I forgot. I forgot we were supposed to fly out that day. I forgot that my whole team was at the airport and I was in another meeting that I had double booked. So I'm hearing the phone calls come in and everybody's waiting for me and I'm not there. By the time I finally realized what was going on, everyone had already left for Kansas City. Needless to say, we ended up not re-signing that contract. The client simply could not get over the lame excuses I was able to offer for not being there. And it was that day that I sat down at my dining room table and I created the Ambition Planner. I knew that I needed a planner to be able to support my goals and ambitions, but also keep me focused and on my schedule. Whatever planner I was using before the Ambition Planner wasn't working. So fast forward, I create the Ambition Planner. I know that I want to use it and I want my staff to use it, but I don't sell a product. I want to whitelist it and sell it. I've exited many businesses before, so I knew exactly how this process worked. And no matter how many amazing women I had come to the table to be able to buy the Ambition Planner, somehow the deal fell through. So here comes the pandemic of 2020. And girl, when I tell you I thought it was bad when I lost one client because I missed a flight, nothing could prepare me from losing 100% of our clients between March 13th and March 31st of 2020. Every single day I got a call saying, we're just going to pause our contract. I don't know what's going to happen with this pandemic. We're just going to see how things pan out. And after laying in bed for days on end, my husband finally came to me and told me it was time for me to get up, that I could no longer feel sorry for myself and I had to do something. I honestly don't think he cared what I did, but it was not going to be laying in the bed feeling sorry for myself. It was literally at that moment that I heard God say, remember that planner that I gave you? Remember that time I let you miss that flight to go to Kansas City? Remember how sad and disappointed you were with yourself and you sat at that dining room table with those Sharpies? You remember that great planner that you made with that catchy name that magically no one else had? Yeah, that was for you. And that's when my pivot started. What I didn't explain at the beginning of this story is that even though I was making the money, even though I was at what seemed to be the very highest place in my life, I was completely stuck. Stuck emotionally, stuck physically, stuck mentally, stuck spiritually. I was in growth, but I didn't feel like I was growing. I felt stagnant and every day was the exact same. It was becoming extremely mundane. And God gave me the pivot that I needed because I had outgrown the space that I was growing in. I was so scared to change directions, even though I've pivoted and changed and reinvented myself so many times before. But this was completely different. I've operated in tech, in finance, in business development, but never in product sales. But the moment that I tried something new, the moment that I actually stepped out into the ledge and jumped, even though I was scared, I was able to soar. I built the momentum. We built a business, and we've been here providing organizational and productivity tools ever since. I am so proud of the Ambition brand, and it is as if my last life never even happened. I don't miss it. I don't mourn it, and I won't go back. Tip number 5 is that I started celebrating my identity and not just my progress. When I start feeling stuck, I got to remind myself just who I am. My identity, who I was born, bred, and commissioned to be. Not just the things that I've been able to accomplish. My identity is a creative, is a nurturer, is a teacher, and someone that cares deeply about helping other women to reach their goals. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm extremely proud whenever I reach a goal, but I realized that I was far more proud of myself when I showed up as her. I showed up as the woman that I desired to be. That when I said I was going to do it, I did it. That made me so much more proud than reaching any financial goal, any dietary goal, or checking any box on my habit tracker. That is why in Clickish, I start affirming the women for who they're becoming before any results actually surface. We have to start changing our identity. And so often our identity is wrapped up in what we have, as opposed to what we can do. We can do so much more than we give ourselves credit for. We are meant for so much more than the position that you find yourself in today. If I could go back and talk to that old version of me, I would tell her that she's not behind, she's just being redefined. You don't need more, but you need to stop and notice more. And that God is not ignoring you, He's preparing you. In the comment section below, I would love to know which of these shifts you need to make right now to get unstuck. If you do feel stuck right now, sis, you're not alone. Please make sure that you share this video with your sister, your best friend, your mama, or your partner. And consider joining Clickish. Every single day, I show up personally for the women that are a member of Clickish to affirm their goals and to hold them accountable to the things that they say they want to accomplish. If you are looking for a sisterhood of like-minded women to be able to support you, pray for you, and help you stay motivated, find all the details to join Clickish in the description below. Sis, I love you, and I pray that you are well, and that you're doing something every single day to reach your most ambitious goals.